Hey everybody, we're here to talk about how to set your bow up for bow fishing and have a good time doing that. So we'll go over all the components first and then we'll get into how to assemble it. So first of all, you need a bow. Any standard compound bow, 2 cams here, string, setup, any standard compound bow will work. It needs to have a position here, which is meant for this component, which typically is a stabilizer, but in this case it's a reel seat. And it also needs a position here on the side of the bow for your arrow rest. Every bow should have an arrow rest slot. So check that component first, make sure you've got those, that type of bow that you can do that with. Alright, then we can go to the next thing. We have the arrow rest. Again, most bows have an arrow rest that comes with them. You can use that. You're going to notice that here in a minute, for the arrows to go in this arrow rest, it's got a groove and that arrow sits down into that, and then of course it can slide through. Now if your arrow that you use typically in bow hunting or anything like that, archery, it has fletchings meant for long flight. These don't have fletchings, so be careful of what you grab here for your arrow rest. You want to make sure it's going to support this arrow without those fletchings. Alright, and of course it has a bolt that has an Allen key head on it. And so for that Allen key head, it's a 3/16 Allen key. That matches up with that. So we'll go ahead and get that tool out. 3/16 Allen key. Alright, so that's your arrow rest. It's going to get mounted to your bow. You have a reel seat. Again, most bows have a stabilizer to make it easier to hold the bow while you're studying your target and trying to hit it at long distances. This is a reel seat. And it's meant for the reel to sit on it, hence the name, right? Keeping it easy in bow fishing. So this reel seat has 2 positions on it that the reel slides into. There's 2 slots, one here and one on this side that has a slot just on the inside of that lip. And that is meant for, the reel has a plate on the bottom of it that has an edge. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's an edge there and an edge here. That's going to hook into those slots there so that it'll hold on to your reel and it can seat snugly. This slot here, once it's locked on, you have these 2 nuts. They spin across a threaded position here. This threaded thing, you're going to run the nut up to the end of it, and once you get it to the end, this will be tied up against it. You run the back one up against it, just like that. That's how this functions. This end over here for this is what screws into the bow. Alright, we'll get into more detail in just a minute. Again, plate on the bottom here hooks into your reel seat. This is just any standard heavy duty reel, like a catfishing reel, something more strong braided and strong gears, because you're going to shoot bigger fish than your typical brim or something small. You're not going to shoot any of that, you're going to shoot some bigger fish. So you want something very strong to hold that weight. The standard reel for that. You can take off any catfishing rig or something like that. So here's what it looks like combined together. These 2 already combined. So it's locked in place. You can't take that out. There's 2 locks here. They're tightened up against it. It means this don't move. And this is ready to go onto the bow. Alright. The arrow, which we mentioned, doesn't have any fletchings. You have 2 different types of arrows that you can use as far as setting up to hook up to your bow. One of which has a slide. That slide has 2 loops that go through the edge of it here. I have some close-up pictures in the video at the end that you can look at that and see a little bit more closely. So that's going to go and it's a stop plate. When it's a stop plate, that string that's tied to it will be able to be reeled back up and pull the arrow back out of the water. So the string is tied to this, it hits that, pulls the arrow back. Same concept for this one, except there's only one hole in here. You run the string through, you tie the knot on it, you pull it tight, and now it's the same thing. It just doesn't have that sliding motion. Alright, so I think we're ready to do this. We got everything we need. Reel seat, arrow rest, reel, arrows, bow. Oh, I forgot. We need a wrench. What do we need the wrench for? We've got to be able to lock this reel seat on. We don't want to be fishing and have a big fish come on. Your reel seat's loose to the bow and the reel comes off and you lose the reel. to the water you're fishing in, and the fish goes with it, and you see an arrow swimming off in the distance, and your reel's on the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of the water. So this is meant to tighten down the nut on this. It's a 1/2 inch wrench, so we'll use that to tighten this down. All right, so we'll start first with the arrow rest. So you grab your bow. You want your arrow rest to be in line with the string. So you want it to be in line with the string, directly in line with it. So you set this outside edge to that, it's directly in line. If you put it on this side, it's going to be out of line. It's going to be crooked to it. So you want it to be in line. Once you've got it set in the right location, you go ahead and set this Allen key in this slot here. I'll show you a little bit closer image. There's a slot there on the back side. Set it there. There's a hole in your bow already. Again, if you're familiar with bows, you know that what an arrow rest is and how to hook it up. We're going to go through that. Thread it in. Take your Allen key. You're going to run it through to get it tight. Not too tight, because you still want to be able to adjust it. Now, setting it up to adjust it, you need an arrow. You want to hook the arrow up to the bow. Once you get the arrow on the bow, you can see if you move this, the arrow angle compared to the string is either straight or bent. So you want to make sure that that's straight. Make sure that it's lined up properly and in position to have a straight shot. Once you've got that in position, you want to take the Allen key, set it at this direction so you get a good torque out of it. And torque that down, nice and tight. You don't want it moving on you, causing the arrow to move whenever you shoot. So now it's nice and tight, arrow's on, and we're good to go as far as that is concerned. Now we get to work on the reel seat. So again, the reel seat has two mechanisms here. One is to hold the reel on, and one is to hold the reel seat to the bow. I'm going to take these nuts, take them all the way back, counterclockwise spins here, pull that back. You're going to take your reel, this bottom plate, you want the front string end to this side, not to the stud bolt side. Hook it in, then once it's in, hold on to it and slide this one forward. Now you want to make sure that groove is going onto that plate. So if the groove is not, it won't go all the way. So you have to make sure the groove is on. So you can, if you're having any trouble with it, you won't go on, just turn it until it slides in. Alright, so now that it's on, take this first nut, run it all the way up, and tighten it down. So you want to make sure that's nice and tight. Again, same thing with this one. Run it up to it. Nice and tight. So now this won't move off of here. Very sturdy onto that now. So we're ready to put this on the bow now. Alright. So this stud goes onto the bow. There's the hole here for the stabilizer, or the reel seat in this case. Going to turn clockwise turns here, turn the whole thing, and of course putting this on helps you get a good grip of what you're turning, and also make sure that this is not loose in case you do have any issue with it. So keep turning it till you get enough threads in there. Okay, it's stopped. Stop because the nut hit this. So I want this to be setting up on top, and I'll explain why in just a second. So we're going to loosen that just a little bit. We'll run this up to the top and set it upright just like that. So I'm going to take this, run it up against the bow, clockwise turns. I'll make sure that's nice and tight. Alright, so now you want the reel to be upright. That way you can reel in the string, which I just reeled in too far. And that can happen too, which means that you have your string down into the reel. There we go. This is problem solving for whenever this happens. You want to find that string, pull it back through the front of the cap. Screw that back in. Alright, back to where we were. So you can reel just like normal. Press your button like as if you're casting, and the string comes out freely. Whenever you reel it in, it's got a lock. Now it won't come off. So your bow's on. You're on target with your arrow rest, your reel seat, your reel. Everything's ready except you don't have an arrow on. So press the button, pull your little extra line out. What do you want to do? Well, I can't just run a string through here and tie me a knot. I want it to be a very fluid knot, something I can easily get good strength and support of. So I'm going to take a loop here. Have an end of the string, run me a loop. Nice big fat loop so I can get my fingers around it like that one time. And so now I have one loop. Show you one more time. Make a loop, pinch right here at the bottom so you're holding both ends of the string, the very frayed end and the end attached to the reel. So now you have a loop it over your fingers, that loop itself, and then I have this loop. I have the end of the loop here. I want to take that and tuck it through one time. So, one time. And now I have this knot that's about to be tied with this loop in. Pull down on your knot, that way you give yourself as much loop as possible. And now pull it tight. Now you have a loop that's got a knot in it at the bottom, so it holds on the arrow. So we're going to take the one that's a little bit easier to work with here, which is the hole straight through the arrow. Run that loop end, pinch it so it's nice and tight so you can get it through here, and push it through. Once you get it through, pull until the knot is right there at the end of the arrow, not through it. You're going to take the loop and go over the end of the arrow one time. So now you have it laying over it. You want to twist the string, make one twist in it, and come back over the top. Now you have an X. See the X? Alright. Then take the string that's attached to the reel, pull tight on it. And of course you can move it with your finger a little bit and get the knot nice and straight so you get one solid line, so it's very braided and taut. So now you have an arrow attached to your reel. Additionally, on the arrow, you can purchase these at any bow store for bow fishing. It has barb on the front here. This barb is meant for hooking and catching the fish. Once you shoot through the fish, comes back, it gets hooked in, and the fish comes with it. Occasionally you'll have to put a new tip on here. So you take a look at it, it just threads right off just like any other screw. Take it off, get you a new one, thread it right back on. If you don't thread it all the way on, this bar can go that way. So when you shoot, it's not hooking anything, it comes right back out. So you want to make sure this is down, thread that all the way down, and now this won't move any further than that. So now your arrow is ready, attached to your string. Your string is attached to your bow, or to your reel. Your reel is attached to your bow. I think you're almost ready to go bow fishing. You want to make sure your arrow runs through your arrow rest, as we mentioned before. Once it's set up on your arrow rest and notched into your string and your bow, make sure your line's out of the way of your reel. Pull it up tight. Now your string's nice and taut, your arrow's ready. If you don't push a button, the strength of this reel will keep the arrow from being pulled back, and it'll pop off. So another thing to make sure you're paying attention to whenever you're doing this, reel it up tight, press your button. Press your button, the string comes out nice and smooth. So now you can pull back the arrow, and now you're ready to bowfish. Your bow is set up. You've got this bow with any compound bow. Your arrow rest, torque down with an Allen key, 3/16. Your reel seat, 1/2 inch wrench, turn it towards the bow, clockwise, tightens it up against the bow. Same thing with your reel, clockwise, tighten up the reel seat to the reel. And we just talked about arrow. So if there's any questions, guys, again, there's more pictures at the end of the video for all of the components of close pictures, slide by slide. So if you have any questions, let us know.